everyone, Crow here. Today I am going to be showing you how to make a short hair cat in WCUE, as I usually do it. So I usually start with the ears, so let's get to the ears. I usually do wispy inner ear tufts before anything else, and then in this video, I'm going to put some tip ear speckles. Next, I usually go down to the eyes and do grumpy eyes, as per usual. And then I usually do thin eyeliner, just to make the eyes look a bit more realistic. Next, I usually do head markings. And for this video, I'm going to be using face markings, the face mask, cheeks. I'm going to be using strip nose blade, eye markings, under eye markings, and I think that's about it for the face. Oh, and I'm also going to be using the forehead diamond. That's what I forgot. But yeah, usually I start with the head because it's easier, and I usually do fur last. If that's why you're wondering, I'm not putting any fur on yet, because I usually do that last. And I'm sorry you have to hear my annoying voice. It's just, I don't know how else to do this. So, voice reveal, I guess. But yeah, so while this video is going, I'm just gonna blab on about how I make some morphs. So usually I do use game passes, but not all the time, because not using game passes is fun. And I usually also do put whisker pads on all of my morphs, just to put a little bit of realism in there. Now I usually go on to the torso markings, because, putting on fur and stuff actually makes it harder to color. So on these, I usually use the cape for faded cats, the single body stripe, and that's about it for the body usually. And then let's get some color on this, because all cats need color. For this morph, I'm going to go stick to, traditional browns and stuff for cats. So we're going to go to the browns, the last browns at the top. And then I usually start with the light colors and work my way from the top down, so it gets darker as it fades. So that's usually what I do for when I color. I usually just start with the base and then work my way down, like I said earlier. So I started with a light color and then I went darker as I went down. That way I can see what I'm doing. Usually for the underbelly and stuff, I use you'll see later on in the video, I usually use a little tan, not white or yellow, but kind of a tannish color. It's usually the second one at the top. The second row at the top is what I use for the underbelly, as you'll see here soon. See? Yeah, I use the second row at the top, and I also use it for facial markings as well sometimes. Sometimes I will leave the whisker pads gray just for realism sometimes, but I usually do color those in. And on this morph today, I'm not going to do any accessories because it's just going to be a warrior, and I don't want to put any accessories on warriors because I don't really do that often. So now you see that I am coloring the lower paws a darker shade of brown than anything else. And then sometimes, as you'll see I'm about to do on the tail, after I put some fur on, I often make the tail shade downwards from brightest to darkest. That way it looks realistic and it doesn't contrast with the body. And often I use darker skin tones for the skin of the cat. And I use lighter fur colors for the inner ear tufts of the cat, so it looks more realistic, like everything else I said. So as you see, I colored it in with darker skin and lighter ear tufts. So let's add some fur now. So I usually start with the body fur. I usually use arm fur for short-haired cats, and I make sure that it's colored in with the underbelly. Same thing with, and then back fur, I also color it in for the top part of the body. So I also use back fur. Back leg fur, I also make sure it's the same color as the underbelly. And then I also use belly fur, and I make sure that that's the same color as the underside. And then I often use long neck fur. This gives your cat a little bit more volume, in my opinion. And I often make the top part of the long neck fur the same color as the top part of the cat. And then I usually make the underside of it the same color as the underside of the cat base. And then I also use wrist fur and what's the other one? I also use wrist fur and leg fur, I believe is what it's called. Yeah, I also use leg fur, that's what it's called. I make those the same color as the darker part of the paws. That way it doesn't look like it's all contrasting with the others. And that way it gives it a little bit more realism. And then lastly, I usually do the tail. And like I said earlier, I usually color it like I did the body. For the tail on short-haired cats, I usually use the slim plump tail, which is right up here somewhere. So yeah, I usually use the slim plump tail, and then I color it in the same way as I do the body. So as you can see, I'm doing that right now. And then there you have it. And then I do the eyes, of course, because eyes are pretty much what gives it personality, in my opinion. So in this video, I used like a pale yellow color, kind of. And then there you have it. The cat is done.